Joined by the writer-director of Chang Can Dunk, Jingy Shao. Thank you so much for coming in here at the Rich Eisen Show. Enjoy your mimosa. Happy St. Patty's Day to you. I'm just saying.
I heard there was some ice cream as well.
There's ice cream coming up. Here are my offers. Ready? Because Amy Trask was here in the second hour. Amy Trask, of course, the Princess of Darkness, the most celebrated woman in my opinion in the history of the National Football League. There, I said it. She is a huge ice cream proponent. Big fan. She likes to start her day with ice cream. We are offering you the following: chocolate chip, pistachio, coffee. We're sadly and crazily out of the oat milk variety of s'mores, which, by the way, you don't want that anyway.
Okay.
Chocolate chip cookie dough. What would you like?
Coffee.
Yeah, there. Oh, that was fast.
Yeah. I like it nice and simple. Coffee. It's the morning. Pairs well together. So I saw like she had the the condiments as well, like the sprinkles and all that other stuff.
Amy Trask doesn't go lightly anywhere.
She really doesn't.
She's the Princess of Darkness. Everywhere she goes is with authority, whether it is with Al Davis or was with Al Davis or carrying a sprinkles container. She goes big or goes home, and she just went home, but with the sprinkles. And I apologize for that, but you're a coffee only guy anyway. Can we get to your movie? Because this is the weirdest show you've ever been on. Let's get to your movie. I loved it. It's special. It has a great story, and it has multiple fake endings, which I think is really effective too, because you think we're going to watch every other feel-good movie, but there was a twist. Can you explain the origins of Chang Can Dunk and why it was so important for you to tell the story?
Wow. I think that I think it came from a place of like thinking about the movies that I loved growing up that really shaped me. I loved coming-of-age sports comedy, so like Little Giants, Mighty Ducks, and I just really wanted to. I remember watching those films and wishing that like someone like me was the protagonist, and so I started thinking about my own childhood, my relationship with basketball. I like to say that basketball is the reason why I'm a filmmaker, because it imbued in me like a sort of sense of confidence and helped me rethink sort of my own potentials and limitations, which allowed me to sort of dream bigger and become a filmmaker. And that all kind of just swirled together, and I thought about the fact that in high school, I sort of made a bet with a friend that I could dunk by the end of summer. But then I got distracted. I never did it. And I wondered what happened if I did. And then this movie sort of just kind of flowed out.
So much to unpack there. And I think the most important one is, of course, you didn't see someone who looked like you on the screen. And this changes everything. So explain that in your thinking of Chang Can Dunk. How often do you see, as you said, an Asian as the protagonist taking on the traditional bully, taking on the traditional "you can't do this" mentality?
I mean, growing up, I really couldn't think of that many examples. I mean, like when I was rehearsing and preparing for the film, and I would talk with the lead, Bloom, who kills it as Chang. We would think about like what examples of a story like this are out there, and we really couldn't think of it in sort of like the high school YA space, especially as a Disney film. The film ultimately is about having agency, like sort of having an impact on how your life is going to go. That's what it is. Like if people tell you you can't do something, can you prove to them that you can? And can you push past your own maybe self-limiting beliefs? And I think that like seeing a version of yourself as the protagonist, as the hero in a film is extremely powerful to a young person. But two, the story is actually very, very universal because we all have little goals and little missions that we want to do that maybe we put off to the side because we're afraid that if we try really hard, we might fail. And so this film is for anyone who kind of has that goal or dream, however big or small. And, just to go and start and see how far you get.
Jingyi Shao joins us here on The Rich Eisen Show. His movie, Chang Can Dunk, is now streaming on Disney+. Who are your guys? Who are your NBA guys?
I mean, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. The first team that I watched growing up was the Rockets. And so Hakeem Olajuwon, I think, is like a player that I just love. And he impacted the game in so many different ways, and it was so cool. And a great leader off the court as well. Kobe, obviously, I think he transcended the game in a lot of ways. I like to compare him to like Bruce Lee. He was almost like a philosopher. You know what I'm saying? And then nowadays, the young players are so impressive to me. Like, I feel like they come into the league way more skilled and capable of contributing right away. And like I love the John Morants and the Donovan Mitchells of the world. So
one thing I loved about this as well is that there are surprises in the movie that I won't talk about because it's a drag when you know it's going to happen. And I think people can Google it, they can look into it, and they definitely should watch it with their kids and even without their kids. But what I love about this story is that you were so effortless in weaving in current events in the NBA and this kid's dreams. And I'm wondering how that juxtaposed on your own, your influence. You mentioned that you thought about could you dunk, could you not dunk, but you also just wove in those beautiful themes that we see in Disney movies, but with a twist. How did social media and the advent of social media and the pressures for kids on social media affect how the protagonists, how these two characters are going up against each other, the pressures that kids face currently?
well, I think the social media aspect of it was something that was inspired by actually a YouTube clip. I don't know if you guys have heard of it. It's called 10,000 Hours, and it was a YouTube clip of like this trainer named Devin Williams, or this former player named Devin Williams. He never even played professionally, but he basically found these two Chinese American brothers in a gym. They had broken in to like find a place to train, and he started this short documentary and started to just train them, and it blew up on YouTube. It had like 10 million views or something like that, and it is probably one of the first clips of what I call like YouTube basketball culture, which I think in the last 2-3 years has really blown up. And it's amazing to watch these sort of like basketball influencers. What they do is like they go and they tell people that they're going to show up at this court, and then like hundreds of people show up and they just battle. It's like it's capturing like I think a aspect of basketball that's like very relatable to every person, because there's like the NBA, right, and then there's the sort of game that you play on the blacktops of your school or in the local playground. And I really wanted to add that into the film because I think this Chang isn't the film is not about a future NBA prospect. It's about everyday kid who just loves basketball and basketball hoops culture. I wanted to capture that aspect of it. And then from there, I just thought a lot about social media and how kids, that's just part of their life, So when, without giving too much away, when, Chang is part of a viral moment, I feel like that's like the mission of a lot of kids these days, right? Is to like become a meme or something like that, or to blow up on Instagram or whatnot. And I just thought that was really interesting. I mean, even if like high school basketball is huge now, like Bronny James, right? And now they can sign like NIL deals and stuff like that. It's crazy to think that you can be a teenager, be playing in be a high school basketball star, but then also have millions of followers and have to deal with all that stuff. So I think all those things were swirling, and then they just it was like my way of bringing Mighty Ducks, Little Giants into like the Gen Z generation. How
fun was it for you then to shoot with the ESPN guys?
Oh, that was
a guy who grew up loving the league.
That was crazy. I mean, we were in there, we were snapping. The scene where we go and sneak up, that's really Stephen A. Smith's office. Mm-hmm. And we stole that. Luckily, they gave us permission to use it in the film. But yeah, we were just.
He's not in the film. I was expecting Stephen A. to walk in and represent.
We try to get him. The schedules, we had a very tight schedule, and he wasn't there that morning. So unfortunately, he wasn't part of it. But yeah, it was incredible to be on that set and see how they shoot that show. It's incredibly like well rehearsed, and it was awesome. It was a
just like
experience.
This show where we eat ice cream and
we don't
incredibly well rehearsed. I have to say.
I mean, I gotta say, your set is more impressive than theirs. This place is amazing. It's huge.
It's a special studio. Our good friend Chris Long built it when he created this. He wanted no kidding. He wanted a studio that people would want to hang out in. I think it's mission accomplished. Great job.
For sure.
Great job, Muscles. Just saying.
Going back to the YouTube
say
stuff,
that?
I found myself wanting to watch these workout videos. There was the montage where it was you could see the likes and the views kind of building up and growing each time. I was just like, is there a page so I can go watch all these? I just thought that was so well done. Congrats on that.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought about like if you were a 16-year-old kid and you really did have to dunk, or else you would, lose face in front of the entire school. What would you actually do? Which is they would go to YouTube or TikTok and look for advice on how to do these things. And if you do that, you'll find these people right away.
For sure.
The first video he watches is this guy Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy, who like at the time when I was making this was just starting to become viral. But I think he has like 2 million followers now on Instagram and TikTok. These fitness influencers are really making an impact, and basketball influencers as well.
It's crazy. TJ, what do you have?
Well, hey, brother, so I definitely like the flick. And my question being, obviously the main part of the movie is Can Chang Dunk. That's what the title is. And then you also have your storyline with, there's the love story with Christy and the rival story with Matt. But one thing that stuck out to me was Chang's relationship with his mother.
No doubt. Very
contentious. Was that something that you drew on from personal experience, or how did you come up with that part of the movie?
I mean, for sure. That was a discovery I made while I was writing the film. It definitely started out more as sort of like based on the premise of like, can this kid dunk or not? And it just really, I have immigrant parents, and my relationship with them was one of many misunderstandings growing up. I mean, it's typical of a teen, right? But I think that like when you have an immigrant parent, there's a lot less things to connect on. Like literally, sometimes you can't understand each other because they're speaking in, in my case, Chinese, and I'm speaking in English. And little things like, for example, sports, right? Sports is something that you pass on to your kids. They love the teams that you love. But, my parents didn't really know too much about American sports growing up. So I had to learn all that stuff on my own. So there becomes these natural barriers that you're dealing with that are layered on top of just being a teenager. And I remember in high school, my mom, what I realized growing up, having grown up a little bit more now, is that my mom was actually going back to school when I was in high school as well. And she was going through a lot of things that I was going through. Like, she was older than our classmates. She wasn't fitting in too well because she couldn't speak English and she didn't know the culture as well. And so both of us were kind of like frustrated, feeling a little bit like outcasts. And when we get home, instead of sharing that, we kind of took it out on each other. And that was a discovery and a really healing discovery I made writing this film. And so once I had that emotional heart, I think like, even if you look back at those classic films like Mighty Ducks and Little Giants and, especially those John Hughes films as well, like there's a surface story premise, but underneath there's deeper sort of like stories about family or, relationship with yourself and things like that. And once I found that, I was like, okay, this is the thing that, this film is actually about, because the film is about having dreams and dreaming and aspiring. And, if you live in a household where your parents are stuck in their own way of what they think is possible for themselves, it's hard for you to also dream.
I think, Jingy, that also in watching it and here with the writer-director of Chang Can Dunk on Disney Plus, you can watch it here on Roku, I also found as a parent that it was a reminder to me to meet my kids at their interests. That, I have one of my kids whose interests are very different than mine. And it was a reminder to slow down and pay attention to what makes them tick. And I'm a pretty hands-on parent, but life is so crazy, and that you have to actually go to your kids' level, whether it's something that's of interest to you or not, because it's their world, and that's what's interesting to them at the time. So I think that, TJ, I'm glad you brought that up, because I take the mom role seriously. I saw what was happening there. I'm really thrilled with where you made the resolution. I thought that was really cathartic.
You're thinking of that line where she goes, "Dunking, why dunking?"
Yeah, that was so funny. I loved it.
That's probably my favorite scene in the whole movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's in the mall
when she meets the coach. I think it's
in
like
the mall at the food court.
Yeah. Both of them kill it in that scene.
Yeah, fantastic actors. What's your favorite sports movie of all time?
Oh wow!
And it can't be Mighty Ducks, because that can't be.
Okay.
And I love Mighty Ducks, but I mean, come on, we're talking, Chris, like some of the great sports epics of all time. Hoosiers.
You don't want to put Mighty Ducks on that list? I mean,
you could do that. It's a great movie. I mean,
I'm gonna
quack quack quack, Mr. Ducks.
I'm gonna throw out a fairly recent one. Warrior.
Wow.
Tom Hardy film.
Dude,
Okay.
underrated. Nobody talks about that.
Love
movie.
that movie.
Underrated film. Again, like it has that deeper underlying story of like father and son, brothers. I'm also a huge MMA fan. and that film just does it. It just does it for me in a lot of ways. Yeah.
And the best John Hughes movie of all time is?
Oh, Ferris Bueller.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that. Chris, who do you got?
I like Ferris Bueller.
Yeah. Bueller.
Tough to disagree.
It's too
on.
classic.
That's a tough
Too classic.
Mine's 16 Candles.
Oh, I know.
Oh.
Always. I just love 16 Candles.
Oh, TJ. I went to an all-girls school in Boston. Let me tell you, we watched that
Yeah.
every weekend. Jake Ryan was everything.
I mean,
So-
it started like that is one of the first of that genre to combine all those different elements, of like comedy, but also just the heartwarming aspect, the heart, and also go into like some darker emotions as well.
I can't thank you for coming in here. It's always more
This
fun
is
to
so
have
fun.
somebody in studio.
Weird Science on the list too. By the way.
Really
Yeah,
good
where
one.
it's Uncle Buck. Like,
Weird Science.
how you can't pick a favorite John Hughes movie? It's
He's the
impossible.
greatest, TJ. I mean,
It's
honestly,
impossible.
think, one of the most underappreciated and absolutely beloved creators of all time. I mean,
Also, and just look at the influence. Like we're all coming to that age where we grew up watching those movies, and now we're the ones, creating the art.
Yeah.
And just a massive influence, obviously.
we are thrilled that you came in. Come in anytime you want. We're always here.
Thank you for having
And
me. This is
we're
awesome.
also available if ESPN, if you can't
That's
get
what I'm
those guys.
saying. That's what I'm
Listen,
saying.
We have a lot of camera room here.
You're not going to come in here and we're going to be gone. Rich might be gone, but we're going to be here. It's not
hey,
going to be a Stephen A. situation.
mean,
I never
have
miss work,
ideas.
so I'm always here.
Let's talk. Let's
I have
make
ideas.
it happen. Let's make it happen.
I mean, I see it. It's a fill-in host, and
and there's ice cream and mimosas.
Wouldn't that be it? He goes, look, I want to use the show, but Rich, sorry, I really want Suzy to host it. Not you. So
Shout out Dexter Darden. He played the coach.
Yes.
DeAndre.
Fantastic.
He
He's
was
amazing.
in the movie.
He's amazing. Him and the lead Bloom are actually only 4 years apart, and like what impresses me most about the acting is like Dex plays such a wise, coach, like not just older brother, but like a real coach, and Bloom plays so young and naive, but they're actually very close in age.
Dexter has such screen warmth. It's incredible.
and when he comes into Verizon, he's like, and you told me you were 6 foot. Like,
Last question: how close did Bloom come to even potentially being anywhere near that route? No, nowhere close, right?
No, he's he trained for real. We put him through a real program.
Yeah, you did.
And I think he's an inch away. He's an inch away. So he's actually 5'8", and I wish you guys had. I wish I brought a clip of him jumping, but he can grab the rim off 2 feet with 2 hands.
Wow.
Okay, so when you do your
Impressive.
next project with Jay Williams and you come in here to promote it,
Yeah.
and we get you drunk, you'll play that. It'd be good.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Maybe I'll be dunking too.
Don't joke. Oh, set up the hoop, Chris.
Let's
Set
Oh, no.
up the hoop, Chris. Let's go. All right, we're going to close up shop on this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. Thank you
Thank
so
you. It was a
much for
pleasure.
coming. It's such a pleasure, and I really enjoyed it. It's just so nice to have a movie to watch with your kids. That's just a great comedy. It's heartwarming. The mom doesn't look bad in the end. It's a Disney movie where the mom doesn't die. It's a win.
Yeah, let's go. I want all the kids out there to be dunking in 4 years. You know what I'm saying? I want the next generation of the huge upswing of kids that can dunk. Then I'll know my movie made an impact.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.